Hey everybody, welcome into the channel. So today we're going to go over a little build video for the Devastator that I like to call Bleeding Leap. And a few days ago we had actually put out a video of this build, but we had made a couple of mistakes on a couple of mods that we had on our gear. And so we just wanted to get another video out there to just kind of correct that a little bit. So without further ado, let's get into what we're looking at for the build. So we are rocking the Seismic Commander. As I'm sure you could have guessed, we do have the Death Shield, Anemoy, and Torment and Agony, just so that way we can throw Moaning Winds on everything. We've of course got Fortress on both of our shotguns as well. The reason we're going with Torment and Agony on our pistols is because of that Tier 1 mod actually on the bottom there, Clip Combustion. So since we obviously can't have Fortress and Moaning Winds on our pistol, Clip Combustion is just going to give us a little bit of extra damage on our reload proc. Now, for our gear, as I mentioned, we are rocking the Seismic Commander, 3 pieces, the helmet, chest, and the pants, so that way we can get anomaly power on all 5 pieces of our gear. Seismic Commander set is going to allow us to do a bonus of 50% extra damage to enemies that are affected by bleed. So that's extremely nice because everything that we're going to be doing from our melee to our skills is going to put bleed on everything. And we'll get to that here in just a moment. So with our mods, we are going to be running double jump and blood shock on our helmet. Double jump so that way we can have an extra gravity leap. Blood shock just so that way we can apply bleed with our earthquake skill. With our chest piece, we actually took away the top mod. As you can see here, normally it would come with Palisade, and since we're not going to be running Impale, that's kind of a useless mod, so we're going to take that away, and we're going to throw extra Quake on there, so that way we can have an extra Earthquake, and we're going to leave Earth's Legacy on the bottom. It can be useful if you're playing a little bit further back from an enemy, but usually as a Devastator, you're going to be right in their face. But since we can only take away one mod, we did choose to take away Palisade at the top. Now, with our pants, we're going to leave Tainted Blood there, which is a phenomenal mod for this setup because that's going to allow us to do an extra 25% bleed damage, or excuse me, an extra 25% of damage to enemies that are affected by bleed on top of the set bonus, so we're getting an overall 75% bonus damage to enemies affected by bleed. And that's amazing. So with our gloves here, we are going to run Bloody Crush and Captain Hunter. Captain Hunter, great for every build, whether you're running Anomaly Power, Firepower, just an all-around great mod to have on all of your builds. It's going to allow us to do 25% bonus damage to any elites that are on the field, and Bloody Crush is going to allow our Gravity Leap to apply bleed. And on our boots, we are going to run Despair, which is a great mod. Give you a rundown of the description here. Enemies within the damage radius of Gravity Leap will receive 1.5 times more anomaly damage for 5 seconds. And that 5 seconds really, you can really notice it when you're in combat, because with your cooldown you're going to be able to, whether you're talking Moaning Winds or your Earthquake, your Gravity Leap, you're always going to have something ready to go for damage. So with that being able to help out to just give even more damage out there, Despair is a great mod. And we're going to have Untamed Power on there as well. Using skills deals 44,000 damage to enemies within a 5-meter radius around you. The damage is equal to 30% of your anomaly power. So obviously the higher that you can get your anomaly power overall, that damage from Untamed Power is going to scale up. Now, you can also run Unstoppable Force instead of Untamed Power. Unstoppable Force is a great choice for this build. I currently am looking to get another pair of gloves or boots that maybe I can swap out a mod between maybe the helmet, maybe I get something, or excuse me, the chest piece has extra quake, so maybe I get gloves or boots that has extra quake on there, and then I can swap that out. Um, I just haven't been lucky enough to get a piece of gear to where I can actually get unstoppable force on there. So you can run that mod as well, considering you're going to have a lot of resistance piercing with this build, and that what that's going to do for you, that's going to allow your anomaly power to scale up based off of your resistance piercing. So again, phenomenal mod. You can run that instead of untamed power if you choose to do so. Let me know in the comment section how you're liking that setup. As I mentioned, I am currently working on trying to get that mod into my build. So with that, we are going to go over to our skills. Again, we're going to run Earthquake and Gravity Leap. And we're going to run Golem just because, as you'll see in our class tree, anytime that we activate Golem, we are going to get a boost to our anomaly power. And we're going to go back into inventory real quick. One thing I did forget to mention. So what you're going to look for overall, you want to try to get anomaly power on all 5 pieces of your gear. You want to get cooldown as much as you possibly can. Now the pants and the chest piece both do already come with cooldown. Unfortunately, the helmet does not. It's going to have status power and skill life leech. So anomaly power, cooldown, and then you want to rotate between skill leech, status power, whichever one you feel like is working for you. Personally, I prefer skill leech, but status power is going to be amazing for this as well, since you are going to be putting bleed on everything that you do any kind of damage to. Your earthquake, your gravity leap, your melee, all are going to apply bleed, so status power also really, really good for this build. Now we're going to hop right over to the class tree. And what you're going to try to pick up here, you want to get as much anomaly power as you can off of this, and cooldown wherever you can get cooldown. And then we're going to pick up some resistance piercing along the way as well. So we've got anomaly power there. We've got cooldown for our seismic skills, which is going to be our earthquake. And then we've got some more anomaly power. And Paladin, which, as I mentioned before, using protection skills is going to increase your anomaly power by 45% for 10 seconds. So that's a big, big bump to our anomaly power right there, and it's going to last for 10 seconds, which is a very, very long time. Now we're going to go up here, and we are going to get cooldown on our golem, just so that way we allow ourselves to be able to proc Paladin as often as possible. And then we're going to get Strong Arm of the Anomaly. So after using your melee skill, you're going to increase your resistance piercing by 15% for each enemy hit for 10 seconds. So for example, if you wind up finding a group of the small Prephoros, or wherever you have a group of enemies all together, if you want to do your running leap melee into that group of enemies, that's going to give you a massive boost to your resistance piercing right there, which is going to allow you to do more damage to enemies that have armor. And we are going to pick this up along the way, not something that's a must-have, but ultimately we're trying to get up through this tree right here. So again, into the fray, not really all that great, but since we have these two here, which are very good, and we're trying to get up to here, we just pick these two up along the way. So perpetual motion is going to reduce our cooldown of gravity leap by 15%, which is very, very nice to have because gravity leap has a fairly long cooldown. So any way that we can bring that cooldown to a lower number is going to help us out a lot. And then we're going to pick up pure anomaly here for more resistance piercing. We're going to pick up perpetual motion again to reduce cooldown of gravity leap by another 15% for a total of 30% cooldown on the gravity leap. We're going to pick up more anomaly power here, and then we're going to reduce the cooldown of earthquake by another 15%. Again, more anomaly power, and then we're going to pick up executioner, increase damage by 20% against enemies below 30% health. And especially in solo play with this build, once you've gone through your cycle of Earthquake and Gravity Leap, anything that's not already dead, including elites, is going to be very close to being dead. So with them being below 30% of their health, that's just going to basically help your Moaning Winds do even more damage. So Executioner, very, very nice to have. And then we're going to pick up some more Anomaly Power along the way. We're going to pick up some Skill Leech there. And then we have Skilled Sentry, increase your armor and resistance by 20% each whenever your skills end. And then we're going to pick up some more Resistance Piercing again. And then at the end, we are going to increase the Seismic Skills base damage by 50%. So that's just going to be for our Earthquake. So, Earthquake's not going to do a ton of damage, but being able to boost that damage by another 50% is going to be nice, so that way, if you've got a bunch of small adds, riflemen, Preferos, things like that are around you, and you don't really want to waste your gravity leap on killing them, it just allows your Earthquake to be able to do enough damage to get rid of them. If it doesn't finish them off, the bleed that you just applied to them most likely is going to do so. Now going back over this tree a little bit here, we want to talk about the resistance piercing and the mod that we had mentioned before with Unstoppable Force. So with having picked these up here, we are going to increase our resistance piercing by 30% just off of our skill tree. And if we go back to our inventory and we're going to hit R2 so that way we can check out our resistance piercing being at 30%, and then Unstoppable Force is going to increase your anomaly by 50% of your resistance piercing. So the higher we can get that, the better, because it's just going to be an even bigger boost to our anomaly power. So now that we've gone over the build a little bit, we've talked about the mods, we've shown the skills that you're going to be using, and we've gone over the class tree. Ultimately, what you're going to be looking for whenever you're going to be running this build, if you're not fighting any kind of bosses, any kind of big elites on the field, mainly you just want to not worry about the golem at this point. You're just going to activate both of your earthquakes, and then you're going to do both of your gravity leaps, and then after you've done so, you're going to cycle through Moaning Winds on your weapons there. We messed up the rotation on that one, but you see what I mean. Now, if you wind up getting to, say for example, you're doing Boomtown, you get to the end, Dr. Detonator and his two captains have just spawned, then in a situation like that, or any brood mothers, behemoths, anything along those lines, then you're going to activate your golem, and then you're going to cycle through everything like we just talked about. And then you're going to do both gravity leaps again, and then you're going to cycle through your 3 Moaning Winds. And you are ultimately going to do a ton of damage with this build. A lot of people like to think of Devastator as just being strictly a tank, drawing aggro so that way your Technos, your Tricksters, your Pyros can do all of the DPS on the field. With this setup right here, not only are you going to be extremely tanky with the status power, the skill leech that you're going to have, and applying bleed everywhere, you are a lot of times going to find yourself matching the DPS of some of the other players in your team. Even in some cases, you might find yourself doing the most DPS. And dare I say, even with having Technos on the field with you. Believe me when I say I have run this build in trios with 2 very, very capable players, one of which being on a Pyro, one of which being on a Techno, and I still managed to pull off the highest damage in that run. So we've gone over the build here, and without further ado, we're going to get into some gameplay, just so that way you can check out this build in action. Hopefully you all enjoy this build, and if you are enjoying it, or maybe you have some suggestions for the build, let me know in the comments, and we will see you on the next video.
was that noise? It's like I've wandered into some maniac's idea of a party. Would you look at that?